ACP leaders agreed to achieve financial autonomy. A glimpse of PNG for spouses of visiting leaders. And students arrested for consuming alcohol.
This is National EMTV News with Hope Imaka.
Good evening and thank you for joining us for Wednesday's news. The 8th summit of the ACP heads of state and government came to a close this afternoon. In the chairman's closing remarks, Prime Minister Peter O'Neill described the summit as fruitful and insightful, with the decisions made to take the ACP countries forward. Among the decisions reached was the common agreement on the need for member states to achieve financial autonomy. After 2 days of meeting, leaders of the ACP group agreed that the theme of repositioning the ACP group to respond to the challenges of sustainable development was timely and relevant in light of the current global political and economic trends. The summit also discussed the need for the ACP group of states to become financially self-reliant.
The summit discussed and agreed on the way forward, especially in also achieving financial autonomy of the ACP group itself. In that regard, it is agreed that we will establish a long-term endowment fund. And of course, that fund is going to try and make sure that we have financial autonomy for the ACP group.
The summit also received and deliberated on the Eminent Persons Group report and agreed that the report needed further reflection through the 6 regions and refer back to the ministers for analysis and implementation.
The summit also agreed that it will encourage trade and investment between its member countries, especially through the South-South arrangements and the triangular cooperation. So I want to state that trade and investment is seen as an important component of the arrangements between the ACP countries so that we can continue to use that avenue in ensuring that our citizens continue to improve their standard of living.
The summit also agreed on the importance of restructuring the ACP Secretariat to ensure it remains effective in its operations. Mr. O'Neill believes the summit inspired the leaders to take significant steps in their approach to shape and transform the ACP into a dynamic intercontinental group. The next summit of the ACP heads of state and government will be held in 2018. Deli Waigeno, National EMTV News. While the ACP leaders gathered for the summit, a few of their spouses took the opportunity to experience a glimpse of PNG in Port Moresby. Led by Linda Babao O'Neill, wife of Prime Minister Peter O'Neill, the women toured some of Port Moresby's tourist sites. Today, MTV caught up with them at Holiday Inn's Cassowary Park to visit a mini art and craft market facilitated by PNG Women in Business.
Although the market was set up at short notice, the PNG Women in Business Foundation set up a marvelous display for spouses of the ACP leaders visiting the country, 3 of which were at the event today. Wife of St. Vincent and Grenadines Prime Minister Eloise Gonçalves and Solomon Islands Prime Minister's wife, Madam Emmy Sogavore, accompanied by their host, graced the Women's Craft Market with their presence. The leaders' wives marveled at the women's creative artwork as they went.
So, women's house is right next to the fireplace.
Madam Sogavore spoke for the women, saying it was an enjoyable and inspiring tour.
The ladies are very creative, in designing some of the artifacts work that they did, and as one of the Prime Minister's spouse, I'm so thankful.
I think because many of our spouses are here in Port Moresby alone, and Port Moresby is not a very good reflection of our beautiful country as a whole. So what we tried to do was make sure that there were events that could give a snapshot of what Papua New Guinea is like. So we started off at the nature park and talking about conservation and all our wildlife, flowers, and it really brought to life what Papua New Guinea is, some of our traditions, our cultures, our food. The following day we then went to the National Museum so we could give them more insight into our cultures and the diversity of our country. And then that was followed by a beautiful parliament which incorporates all our culture, which I think is absolutely fantastic. Today we decided that we would show the future of our country and what I personally have at heart, which is the education of our girls. So we went to Caritas and were able to sample some of the foods that they make and also some of the skills that they've acquired through technical schools.
The wives of leaders of Tuvalu, Gabon and Zimbabwe who toured with them yesterday regrettably had to travel back to their home countries earlier today. Melissa Gaviro, National EMTV News.
United Nations Resident Coordinator Roy Trivedi said large meetings such as the African, Caribbean and Pacific Summit are great opportunities for Papua New Guinea to learn from the best experiences of other countries. Speaking to the media on the sidelines of the ACP meeting today, Mr. Trivedi said he was happy that the government of PNG had expressed increasing commitment to achieve the Sustainable Development Goals. With the ACP summit discussions focusing on key priorities such as poverty reduction, climate change mitigation and equitable development, Mr. Trivedi said the UN country team in PNG stands ready to support the country to achieve these priorities.
Today's breakfast meeting at the ACP summit was organized by the UN Women with the theme Women's Economic Empowerment. Mr. Trivedi said it was good to see leaders driving the Sustainable Development Goals or SDG agenda forward.
1/7 of the world is living in the ACP countries, 1 in 7 people in the world. So what the ACP does, showing leadership on some of these things around the Sustainable Development Goals is very, very important. We have a challenge on our hands. The world can either improve or it can start to slip back. If we don't make the progress, and these kind of meetings can help us to make progress, we need to make sure that when we have these kind of meetings, the media talks to all of these fantastic leaders from around the world, let them share their experience of things that can make a difference in Papua New Guinea.
While commending the PNG government for committing itself to achieving the SDGs, he also emphasized the importance of utilizing high-level platforms such as the ACP summit to accelerate human development in the country.
Things that we're struggling with, which other countries perhaps have found better ways, we should try and adopt those. And also, always in these meetings, we must always tell the story of Papua New Guinea, because many people are here for the first time. They don't know very much about Papua New Guinea, so this is our opportunity to tell them about the significance of Papua New Guinea in the world.
To drive community initiatives in relation to implementing the SDGs, UNDP, together with the European Union, has been collaborating on the MDG Acceleration Program. Mr. Trivedi said the UN is ready to assist the government of PNG to achieve the SDGs. Deli Waigeno, National EMTV News.
Parliament today opened its session with the condolence motion of late Hela Governor Anderson Agiru. Leader of Government Business and Finance Minister James Marape told the House the late Agiru was no ordinary leader. Many shared their views with strong emphasis by Opposition Leader Don Pollier for the government to increase national content and see PNG fully benefit from the multi-billion Kina LNG project.
Parliament resumed on a slow note this morning with a motion of the passing of Hela Governor late Anderson Agiru. Leader of Government Business James Marape shared sentiments of the good work administrated by the two-time Southern Highlands and first Governor of Hela.
As we will all remember him for his strong signature and his strong leadership in stitching together what we now know of as PNG LNG project.
Amongst the history and grief of the passing of the Hela leader, opposition leader Don Polye called on the government to maximize the benefits of the LNG project. Polye said late Aigiru was on a mission and it is now the responsibility of current leaders to fulfill his dreams and ambitions.
If we have to keep that fire burning all the time in Papua New Guinea from Hela and not give that fire out, that means that we must benefit ourselves fully.
MPs described late Aigiru as a prophetic leader who wanted to implement the legend of the Gigira Laitapo, a burning fire without woods. However, many were upset with the slow turn of development in Hela.
When he became leader of Hela, to push the LNG project was to build a robust economy in Hela, to make sure there was essential infrastructure so that the Tari people, the Hela people could return to their province and have something, a province they can be proud of.
Southern Highlands Governor William Powie took time to thank the government and everyone who contributed in farewelling the late governor.
We have a lot of dreams that remain unfulfilled, but nonetheless, we thank the people of Papua New Guinea for giving us the support and the support we needed at the time of our grief.
The late Aigiru was buried in his home village Tapanda in the Dauli area of Hela 2 weeks ago. Jack Lapave Jr., National EMTV News.
Works Minister Francis Awesa told Parliament today the current cash flow problem in the country is affecting funds allocated for road maintenance. The minister was responding to questions raised by Maprik MP John Simon on the maintenance of the Sepik Highway. Minister Awesa also answered questions raised by Morobe Governor Kelly Naru on the completion of the Leh to Nadzab Highway.
During questions without notice in Parliament today, the Works Minister answered supplementary questions raised by Maprik MP John Simon on the maintenance of the Sepik Highway.
Because if we don't have maintenance funds now to maintain some of these national roads, we're going to spend millions of kina time this little road in Bagara Bogota.
Minister Awesa in response said there are no preferences given to national highways in the country and all highways have been allocated equal funding. However, Awesa said the drop in commodity prices over the past 12 months has been a huge reason why funds are not available for immediate release.
Yes, we have maintenance funds there, but like everybody else, we have a serious cash flow problem.
Meanwhile, Morobe Governor Kelly Naru made a rare statement in Parliament when he commended the national government for developing road infrastructure in Leh City. The governor then went to question the completion of the Leh to Nadzab Highway, saying there are rumors of an outstanding payment that is yet to be paid to the Chinese company contracted to build the highway. Naru also questioned the total costing of the project.
Honourable Minister, can you tell this House how much is outstanding and how much is yet to be paid to enable this contractor to complete that portion of the road?
Minister Awesa in response said the rumors are true and the government is yet to pay in full. Awesa said a sum of 30 million kina has already been paid last year to keep the project going, and once funds are available, the government will complete all payments.
It is true that we have not been up to date because of the cash flow situation. I'm not in a position to give you an exact price on the first 9 kilometers. Why this is so is because a lot of money has been paid for improvements along the way, including power pylon relocations and properties relocations. So once funds have become available, we will pay the amount in full so that they will complete that section.
Stanley Over Jr., National EMTV News.
One of the country's oldest manufacturing company, KK Kingston, says it may lay off some of its 800-plus workers if the pressures of the depleting foreign currency continues in the coming months. KK Kingston employs a majority of Papua New Guineans, and Chief Executive Officer Michael Kingston says the current situation with the foreign exchange is putting immense pressure on their payments to overseas suppliers to bring in raw materials. Bethany Harriman spoke to Michael Kingston this morning.
While other Leh companies have yet to speak out about their challenges, KK Kingston, a major employer and one of Papua New Guinea's oldest privately owned manufacturing companies, has spoken out for the manufacturing sector. Today, CEO Michael Kingston said the company is still able to import because of good relationships with suppliers.
The last thing I want is to lay people off, because it'll mean that I've run out of raw materials and I can't supply product. And to me, that's not good for anyone, least of all for the Papua New Guinean consumer, because I think many of the products, most of the products we supply are staples for the Papua New Guinea economy.
Quality raw materials like the plastic product used for manufacturing tougher tanks are being purchased on credit from Australian suppliers because of the lack of foreign currency. Apart from KK Kingston, at least 2 other car dealers have spoken to MTV off camera, saying that they are struggling with the depletion of foreign currency and that they are importing cars on credit. The central bank is still waiting for a formal notification from the International Financial Corporation for additional funding facilities. The IFC disagreed with lending components to private sectors and kicked back the first proposed structure. The Bank of Papua New Guinea Governor Lloyd Bakani said that importers need to look at other places for low-cost product imports.
Over time, importers, if they see the prices of where they're importing because of low kina becoming expensive, they can also look at other sources of where they're importing from, much cheaper sources, or even look at other ways of how they can fund their imports.
The central bank is more focused on government needs for foreign currency, while lay businesses are still struggling.
And to be honest, we've tried to engage with the government, but thus far we've found it very difficult to find anyone who's willing to talk to us and to help us. So we're pretty much dealing with it just on our own. And the way we're doing that is we're having to ration payments and schedule payments and just work within the limits of what we can get from the commercial banks. That means every month there's some suppliers that go unpaid, and our debts overseas slowly get bigger and bigger. It's not for a lack of kina, it's because we can't get the US dollars and the Australian dollars as and when we want.
It hasn't come to it yet, but KK Kingston may lay off workers when the foreign exchange situation gets to a point where raw materials cannot be imported on time. But there are some lay companies who have laid off workers. Bethany Harriman, National MTV News, Ley.
What used to be the tallest building in Ley for 3 decades will now be renovated over the next 6 months. The Hudson Nagy building, more commonly known as the Telecom building, will get a 15 million kina facelift. The building will house various telecom subsidiaries and startups that want to use the telecom bandwidth.
It's a 40-year-old building that still stands tall and proud beside the seat of government and the police station. It was once the tallest building in Ley City for the last 40 years until newer buildings took over the title. The telecom management is now investing 15 million kina in a project to renovate this iconic building.
Telecom is a sleeping giant in a way. I should put it in that way. It's a sleeping giant. If it has the new processes in place, the new branding, the new I would say the new color for telecom, it will go miles ahead.
The telecom exchange houses equipment vital for the transmission of voice and data. The massive concrete structure has remained relatively unchanged over 4 decades, but as part of telecom's rebranding, this building is getting a new look.
For so long, telecom has been seen as a company that can't deliver service, but we are trying to change the new telecom. So the part of the new refurbishment and the new building is new rebranding is part of the way forward for telecom.
When completed, this building will house other telecom subsidiaries, including Daytech and MTV. Scott Wide, National MTV News, Ley.
We have plenty more on National MTV News. Rabaul MP questioned the slow legal process of the Rabaul Queen disaster. Students arrested for consuming alcohol and soldiers found guilty on mutiny charges. Details after the break. Welcome back. Member for Rabaul, Dr. Alan Marat, is frustrated with the slow course of justice to prosecute those involved in the MV Rabaul Queen disaster. Dr. Marat said the tragic shipping accident has caused much pain to the lives of many people and justice must be done. The Rabaul shipping trial was halted due to lack of funding to support the state prosecutor to complete trials for witnesses. Dr. Marat raised this concern to Justice Minister and Attorney General Arno Pala in Parliament today. Killing of people suspected of using sorcery is becoming a concern for police in the Kaboom district of Morbe province. Morbe's police commander, Chief Inspector David Warrap, says police have tried to educate people on sorcery-related killings and can only carry out investigations with the support of the community. He added that investigations become difficult when communities are not willing to cooperate with police. Warrap's comments follows a murder incident in the district last Wednesday. A 60-year-old man identified as Siam Denguna was tortured with a hot iron and later slashed on his back. He was suspected of using sorcery. The suspects are unknown to police, continued their investigations. 16 students from 2 secondary schools in Port Moresby were arrested and charged for possession of homebrew today. 14 female students from Tokarara Secondary School and 2 male students from Gordon Secondary School were in police custody at the Baroko Police Station earlier today. Senior Constable Rao Kobale said the students will be charged and transferred to the Badili Juvenile Holding Center.
The students were a part of a larger group consuming homebrew and Vitis products, coffee punch and Warrior Dark Rum. Arresting Officer First Constable Jureki Mokmane said some of the male students from Tokarara Secondary had escaped while 14 female students from Gordon Secondary were captured at East Baroko Hill in what seemed to be a cult gathering.
A youth, resided the East Baroko Taripek settlement. He came straight to us and he told us that there are some students up at the mountain consuming homebrew and trying to practice cult.
The students who were in their school uniforms were then paraded all the way to Baroko Police Juvenile Center, where they were questioned and charged. When we caught up with the students at the station, they had removed their uniforms.
We got a directive from Superintendent of Operations, Sir Brian Combe, and he directed us to arrest and charge them 2 counts each. Number 1 charge is consuming homebrew, and number 2 imposition. And but we will investigate further and we will see to it closely. If it means that we will let another charge 3 counts each or 4 counts, we will do so.
Senior Constable Rao Kabale said some of the students were reluctant to give their parents' contact detail, while those who have their parents will be contacted. Constable Kolabe said the bail is set at 300 kina per student.
We can negotiate or at least have some sort of sympathy with them, but then the orders from the boys are given already, get them all arrested, so we have to comply with directives here.
This is not the first time Tokarara and Gordon secondary students have been implicated in cult gatherings that involve consumption of homebrew and other illegal activities. Adelaide Sirok Skari National, EMTV News.
A new juvenile remand facility for Northern Province is now open for young people at the Popondetta Police Station. This facility promotes and recognizes fair and equitable treatment for young people arrested and detained under the Juvenile Justice Act. Eric Harupma reports.
Justice and Attorney General Secretary Dr. Lawrence Kalino, Australian Minister Councillor Rod Hilton and Northern Governor Gary Juffa received a rousing welcome during the opening ceremony. The purpose of building this facility is to separate men from women. It was built at a cost of 1.1 million kina and funded under the Australian government in partnership with PNG's Department of Justice and the Royal Papua New Guinea Constabulary. Speaking during the event, Mr. Juffa said, without justice there will be no progress. It is important that justice is available to all people.
And we are now seeing that Oro Province, which used to be known as Cowboy Town, has become a better, safer, secure place to live in.
In addition, he commended Mr. Kalino for his efforts for initiating this project and also the PNG government for recognizing their needs and selecting Popondeta as a recipient of this infrastructure. On behalf of the Australian government, Minister Hilton said better law and justice supports safer communities, encourages economic growth and supports a safe and just society for all.
An important measurement of law and justice is how a prisoner and remandee population is treated. So we're very happy to be part of this partnership.
Dr. Kalino said this is a big investment by the law and justice sector with the help of Australian government.
A concentrated effort in lawmaking, all sector agencies, all police, all line law correctional services, all line law justice department, all line law court.
Eric Arukma, National EMTV News.
25-year-old Mary Paul from Tapini area in Goilala district of the Central Province was almost raped by two men she claimed were NCD city rangers. A traumatized Mary, speaking to MTV News this afternoon, said she was accused of chewing betel nut around Boroko area and forcefully taken to a secluded spot near NBC at 5 Mile where the incident occurred. She was left badly bruised.
Puraun mi goraun no. Step him neck blow me first one time, one plus side shoe blow them. Now look you say missing out it now. Two plan blow one time more neck blow me na. For shoe ban blow them kick like killing me straight na. Ke mi kirap mi struggle mi kirap missing out again na. Puraun mi goraun again na. Molin again na neck blow me na. Missing out blow them stop and two plan mangi kam na and two plan emporet na. And she sleep I blomina, bilum blomina, and run on me cry one ten around go round what line and I'm talk silo.
Justice Colin McKyle of the Waigani National Court has allowed a judicial review into the UPNG Council's decision to give 48 hours for students to vacate the Waigani and Tauranga University campuses on May 27. Justice McHale gave 21 days for the UPNG SRC lawyer to file a notice of motion to be served on the defendants before returning to the court on June the 22nd for directions hearing.
The UPNG SRC filed a submission today for the court to allow for a judicial review into two decisions made by the University Council. The first decision was made on the 17th of May, allowing police to enter the premises. The second decision was made on May 24, giving students 48 hours to vacate the Waigani and Tauranga campuses following the suspension of the first semester to restructure the academic year. The court refused to review the first decision of the University Council to allow the police in, as it is also a matter that's before the Human Rights Court. It only allowed for a judicial review into the 48 hours notice given by the council, considering the welfare of the students cannot be ignored by the court. The state lawyer from public prosecutors questioned the SRC, saying it does not have a legal standing to represent the students in this proceeding. But the court was satisfied that the plaintiff, the UPNG SRC, have sufficient interest that they have been aggrieved by the two decisions made by the University Council. Basenata Yama, National EMTV News.
The Bomana District Court has reached a verdict on the mutiny case involving 3 senior PNGDF soldiers. The court found them guilty on 2 of the 4 counts this afternoon. Presiding Judge Justice Penuel Mogish ruled that all 13 were members of the Defence Force and were subjected to discipline under the Defence Force Act. However, Judge Mogish used his discretion to extend their bails because the 13 are specially trained and cannot be detained with other common criminals at the Bomana jail. Tekla Gunga reports.
This case commenced in December 2015 after the 13 accused were charged for misconduct and mutiny. Their trial commenced last month and went for 21 days. Now the misconduct charge was dropped because Justice Mogis ruled that the same sets of facts were used to charge these soldiers for mutiny. The soldiers went before the courts because they had failed to abort an operation in Como, Southern Highlands, after they were directed to return to Port Moresby by their commander. They justified their reasons to disobey the commander through their lawyers that they were not given incidental allowances.
The two charges were in relation to the letter that the Major Eddie Money wrote to not withdraw the soldiers due to the fact that the commander did not provide them the allowances. So that was in August. The other two counts were they were found not guilty of was when the Defense Force did not provide the helicopter for them to be transported out from Como.
This is the first case in the history of the Defense Force to have over 10 senior soldiers charged for mutiny, and Judge Mogis is treating it as a serious matter.
This is one of the biggest cases so far that Papua New Guinea has faced in the Defense Force, because we have 13 accused persons and they have been charged with 4 counts of mutiny each.
Judge Mogis said this case raises the concern of disciplinary officers being remanded with common criminals and want lawyers of both parties to discuss this concern next Wednesday. Proper submissions on the soldiers' sentence will also be made when the case returns to court. Tekla Gunga, National EMTV News.
And now looking at our finance news, the Kina opened unchanged at $0.3160 US in the interbank market. At Bank South Pacific, your Kina was buying $0.3085 US, $0.4235 Australian dollars, $0.2741 euro, and 33.91 Japanese yen. Looking at commodity prices at New York close, gold, coffee and cocoa closed higher, while copra closed the day lower. Palm oil, crude oil and copper closed the day lower. And on the stock market, the Dow Jones closed at 86.02 points lower, the ASX closed at 55.36 points lower, and the All Ordinaries closed at 52.60 points lower. More local stories after the break. Stay with us. Welcome back. The Waigani Supreme Court yesterday refused the public prosecutor's bid to dismiss Belden Nama's substantive reference on his leadership tribunal. The reference hearing was referred up to the Supreme Court for interpretation of a constitutional question. The court ruled that the grounds raised by the public prosecutor were unnecessary and not proper.
The decision was made by Justices David Kennings, Alan David and Hitelai Polumekiele. The court refused the application, stating that the constitutional question is proper and will be heard at the Supreme Court. On February 1 this year, Acting Judge Sally Koget of the National Court stayed the proceedings of the Leadership Tribunal and referred to the Supreme Court to determine a constitutional question arose relating to the interpretation of Section 169, subsection 4C. Yesterday, Public Prosecutor lawyer Lias Paul Kandi argued that the acting judge made an error to refer the reference hearing to the Supreme Court because the manner in which the referral was made was an abusive process, and he asked the Supreme Court to dismiss it before the hearing. He also argued that the court did not listen to the plaintiff Belden Nama or the defendants before handing down its decision. Nama's lawyer Greg Shepard responded that the Supreme Court is the specific court for references such as these to be challenged. Mr. Shepard was surprised about the application yesterday and told the court that it was also an abusive process committed by the public prosecutor. The court today has made its decision that the constitutional question will be heard at the Supreme Court on June 16. Basinata Yama, National EMTV News.
Issue of writs for the presidential seat in the Morabez Nabak LLG by-election in the Nawai district has started, with 4 candidates nominated so far. The seat was left vacant after the passing of former President John Essenu last year. More than 8,200 voters within Nabak LLG are expected at the polls 2 weeks from now. Returning Officer Freda Joseph says the Provincial Electoral Office is anticipating an increase in the nominees before nominations close this week on Thursday. Polling for the by-election will start on Saturday the 18th of June and ends on July the 1st, with all voting to be conducted at Nawai's Nabak area. Preparations are underway for World Environment Day celebrations to be held at the Adventure Park outside Port Moresby. The Conservation and Environment Protection Authority received funding in kind from corporate sponsors to host the event. World Environment Day is held on June the 5th annually. However, SEPA will celebrate this year's event on Friday the 3rd of June.
The Conservation and Environment Protection Authority received sponsorship in kind from corporate sponsors Coca-Cola Amatil and Puma Energy. Coca-Cola has sponsored in kind with water and canned drinks, while Puma Energy have sponsored in printed shirts that will be distributed on June 3rd.
Acknowledge the sponsors and the support that other agencies and the corporate bodies come to, promote this message to all our people out in the country.
SEPA has conducted awareness through organized competition programs for schools in NTD. The winners of the drawing competition and essay writing competition will be announced on June 3rd at the celebrations of World Environment Day. Meanwhile, environmental activist Latin Drihin, known for his extreme acts to raise awareness of environmental issues, spoke to EMTV about protection of wildlife preservation.
This World Environment Day is a wake-up call that we need to look after the environment and enough of illegal trade on wild animals. And SEPA and the government authorities needs to tighten up their policies and legislations and start enforcing it. It's by time we need to enforce all the laws on environment, and our environment habitats will be safe.
Marilyn Diaukatam, National EMTV News.
The beat of the bamboo band and panpipes from the autonomous region of Bougainville has captivated spectators at the 12th Festival of Pacific Arts in Guam. While many are curious as to how these traditional musical instruments produce sound, the knowledge and skills remain with this PNG group as part of their unique culture. Fabian Haklitz with more from Guam.
Papua New Guinea's autonomous region of Bougainville is the second group to showcase the country's rich, diverse and dynamic culture in the 12th Festival of Pacific Arts. It's the bamboo band and panpipes bit that's unique. Irish culture group from Tenputs represented Bougainville and also performed the wave dance at the Paseo Festival Village. Autonomous Bougainville Government's Associate Minister of the Community Development Department, Robert Hamal Sawa, explains the wave dance.
One of the attractions that we have in one of our activities is the wave dance, which continues to showcase what we have, which is similar in the Pacific. Fishermen who are going out fishing and they struggle with waves that is rolling from all corners to ensure that they have a catch in the afternoon to sustain their families through having their protein on their dinner table. So this wave dance and the contemporary music using bamboos, flutes are really great attraction here in Guam.
For Bougainville to participate in this Pacific Arts Festival is a privilege and a great opportunity.
Because this is the first time ever Bougainville has been chosen to come and participate in one of this festival which attracts all other Pacific Islands nations to be here in Guam to showcase also their cultural activities.
In Guam, Fabian Haklitz, National EMTV News.
Trukai Sports is next. I'll have all the details after these short messages. Stay with us.
True Kai Sports.
Welcome to Trukai Sports. Injuries and changes have forced SP Hunters coach Michael Marum to make vital changes to his squad for this Saturday's clash against Northern Pride. Marum has named a 20-man squad with prop Esau Siune and back rower Ishmael Balkawa making a return to the side.
Blenda Bavu fits into the unaccustomed role at fullback, while Philemon Kimisive has been on the wing in the starting lineup. Fullback Stagroth Amin is out with concussion suffered during last Sunday's game, while utility back Adex Wera was found guilty of a dangerous throw and has been rubbed out for the next 2 games. Tuvi Lapan makes his start at lock, while Nixon Borana returns from injury and has been named on the 20-man extended bench. The match kicks off at the National Football Stadium in Port Moresby. The National Football Stadium's promoting 2 new ticket packages, the 3-for-2 pass for 50 kina and 20 kina special price tickets. The ticket promotions are designed to reward loyal PNG Hunters supporters who turn out to every Hunters home games at the National Football Stadium. The 3-for-2 pass is a value pack suitable for a group of friends or a small family where 3 people can attend and watch the Hunters for 50 kina. The normal cost for 3 people at the outer stands would normally cost 75 kina. The game day fun includes new activities such as the jumping castle, face painting, music, and South Pacific Brewery merchandise and halftime prizes. Elijah Lavette, National EMTV Sports.
Tonight we'll see the rivalry continue between the New South Wales Blues and Queensland Maroons in the State of Origin Game 1 for 2016. The Queensland side will go into tonight's match as favourites and have a star-studded lineup, including the likes of Jonathan Thurston, Sam Thaiday, Greg Inglis, with Captain Cameron Smith at the helm.
Tonight's match will be no different to recent years. The New South Wales Blues will be coming to the match as underdogs against the might of the Queenslanders.
Now Jonathan's got this to take the Maroons to 12-10. It's coming back and it's short. Dugan runs it back. Well, the Blues have got
a few injury concerns for both sides, with Josh Morris coming in to replace St. George fullback Josh Dugan in the centres, and Cooper Cronk is still in doubt ahead of tonight's match but isn't ruled out until kickoff. The Maroons will be looking to continue their dominance tonight, but the Blues, however, will be looking to change that, and coach Laurie Daly is confident his side will put the Maroons to the test. New South Wales has a fairly new side selected this year, but the Queenslanders have gone with a similar lineup dominated by Kangaroos representative players.
Cronk is right in front. There goes the shot from Cooper. He turns his back, he knows it's there, and it's 11-10 in favour of Queensland now.
Tonight's match will be exciting to see if the Blues will be able to upstage arguably one of the strongest sides the Maroons have produced in years. Elijah Lavette, National EMTV Sports.
In Leh, our EMTV crew went out to the streets to ask members of the public who they thought would win tonight.
28 number 32. About 24 now, Maroons 32. So minum na sabi one blood best team win. Maroons. Sawa sa Blues ba win na win. Game 1 blow, State of Origin milagay mo sa Maroons must win. I have the Blues red, really time. Maroons ba win?
Original Blues.
The Blues. The Blues.
Trukai Sports continues after the break. Stay tuned.
Trukai Sports.
Welcome back. Papua New Guinea drew 2-2 with Tahiti in this afternoon's match of the OFC Nations Cup. Here's Jeremy Mogi with the highlights.
Host nation Papua New Guinea would have a tough task to remain in contention for the OFC Nations Cup semi-finals as they got set to face defending champions Tahiti. PNG themselves had survived a late scare against New Caledonia on Sunday, while Tahiti had trashed Samoa in clinical fashion. Ominous signs early for the home side. Ronald Warisan tested early, only a minute in, and Raymond Gunemba had his first shot on goal. However, Tahiti, through the height of Elvin Tehau, placed PNG's defense under immense pressure, with Warasan acrobatically saving 2 consecutive corners. PNG surviving the early Tahitian onslaught, with Michael Foster and Jacob Sabua proving a handful, as captain David Muta was shown a yellow card for an innocuous challenge on Tahiti striker Tauhidi Kek. Referee Nick Walden also facing slack from the PNG supporters, as Raymond Gunemba brought the stadium to life with this effort in the 21st. Surprisingly, no yellow cards in the 26th, as Sabua was brought down on the edge of the box. Nigel Dabinyaba had a golden chance on the half hour as Papua New Guinea settled. Tahiti resorting to bring the players in red down. And the failure by referee Walden to award a yellow against Tamatoa Tetuira had Papua New Guinea seething. But on the stroke of half-time, Raymond Gunemba would put Papua New Guinea ahead. Tahiti started off the stronger of the two after the break. A drama, however, Tahiti captain Nicholas Vala shown the red card on 51 minutes. Alwyn Comalong coming close, shaving his shot to the right of keeper Mikael Roche. Suddenly, Papua New Guinea were buoyant, and Raymond Gunemba, Sabor and Foster all finding room to maneuver as Tahiti decided to bring in the 6-foot frame of Fred Tissot. No difference, 63 minutes in, and Raymond Gunemba would double the lead for the home side. However, only 2 minutes later, Elvin Taha would close the gap with a header. And with 14 minutes left, despair for Papua New Guinea against a run of play, Tahiti would equalize. And with a tiring PNG midfield, Emmanuel Simon was brought in. Raymond Gunemba had thought he'd hit a hat-trick on the 80th, only to be denied by the offside flag. The final score, a 2-2 draw against the 2012 champions of the OFC Nations Cup, Papua New Guinea leaving many of the doubters in disarray. Jeremy Mogi, National, EMTV Sports.
A reminder to viewers, MTV's Football Fest program will be live tonight following the 7 p.m. OFC Nations Cup between Samoa and New Caledonia. That ends True Kai Sports. I'll have the weather details for you after the break.
True Kai Sports. True Kai Sports.
Your weather forecast for tonight and tomorrow. In the southern region, fine for all centers. In the Momasa region, a shower or two for Lae and fine for Madang, Wewak and Vanimo. In the New Guinea Islands, fine for Lorengau, Buka, Kavieng, Kokopo and Rabaul, a shower or two for Kimbe. And in the Highlands region, fine tonight, then morning fog for Mount Hagen, and fine as well apart from morning fog for Goroka, Mendi, Wabek and Kundiawa. And that's the news, sports and weather for tonight, Wednesday the 1st of June 2016. On behalf of the entire news team, I'm Hopi Maka. Pleasant viewing. Good night.